What an NFL trade deadline. Remember when the highlights were two decently sized trades including middle-round picks? Everyone say a big thank you to the Jets, as 3 first-round picks were dealt on deadline day. The Sauce Gardner trade is only the second in-season trade, including multiple first-round selections in the past 30 years. What a thrill. Identifying winners and losers on deadline day is always tough. The Jets will be made a winner or a loser for their efforts today, not by my words, but by the picks they make over the next 2 or 3 years. Of course, we can grade the quality of their work now. Spoiler, they are winners. But this isn't the real test. The real test is what comes next. Aside from the fireworks over the Big Apple, I have winners and losers from the Saints' busy day, the Patriots' quiet one, the ever-active Ravens, and the surprising Jacoby Myers landing spot. Let's dive in. Deadline winner, CB Sauce Gardner. The Gardner trade is as stunning as it is impactful. Gardner was nowhere near the trade rumor mill until the moment the trade was announced, and with good reason. He signed a $120.4 million extension just last season. At the time of the extension, it looked like the Jets were committed to Gardner for the long term. But as they've traded him fewer than 5 months later, the team friendliness of the deal becomes apparent. Gardner's signing bonus, which hit the Jets' books in 2025 and now sits on their cap sheet as dead cap, was relatively small, $13.75 million. Because most of Gardner's guaranteed money lives in option bonuses further down the line, the Colts will be on the hook for much of his outstanding money.
Why wouldn't you, just to see if it does anything to the offense, give him an opportunity to go in there and play?
Yeah, obviously my focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. That's not my focus.
Okay.
It was shocking to see a recently extended player traded so fast. But the financials are far less damaging to the Jets than instinct would imply. The Colts still get a fairly good bargain too. Gardner's contract will cost them an average of about $26 million in the 5 remaining years of his deal, 2026 to 2030. Though it's highly unlikely that contract structure sticks around long. If Gardner succeeds, the Colts will almost immediately amend the deal to guarantee him money. If he flounders, they have plenty of opportunities to release him. But Gardner is only 25, and while he's a bit more volatile than the true top corners, Pat Surtain II, Derek Stingley Jr., he remains one of the 10 best players in coverage. This season has been his worst as a pro so far. He's surrendering a completion percentage 11.1% over expectation, according to NFL Next Gen Stats data, and a passer rating of 118.8 when targeted. But he's still forcing tight windows, 61.9% of his targets, and the bulk of his coverage over the past 3 seasons was high quality. Gardner can be picky as a tackler and draw penalties given his grabby style of coverage. But again, these are concerns that keep him from being the absolute best cornerback in football. He's still a great player. Gardner was reportedly blindsided by the deal and did not ask to get out of New York, but he now goes from the 1-win Jets to the 2-loss Colts, as big a move up the NFL standings as a player could possibly take mid-season. Gardner lands with Colts defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, a highly creative coach who will play Gardner in more zone coverages, where he's at his best with his length, ball skills, and instincts. Gardner is a field-tipping player who can match up with opposing star receivers. Anarumo will base his defensive game plans around Gardner, who is the best CB that Anarumo has had in his long tenure as a defensive coordinator. The Colts still have a weakness at CB too, so long as Charvarius Ward is injured, and their linebackers leave a lot wanting in coverage. But if Gardner returns to his 2022 and 2023 form, he'll erase one side of the field and allow Anarumo to use his coverage resources in those weaker spots. The big extension was a win for Gardner this summer. Now, he has the chance to chase it with a ring. Deadline loser, Dallas Cowboys. I'm glad that Jerry Jones has recently become obsessed with solving Dallas's run defense. It's a worthy pursuit. This was not a good way to go about it, though. The Cowboys sent a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick, along with defensive tackle Maisie Smith, to the Jets in return for Quinnen Williams. Williams is 27 years old and still a quality player, but it's worth being detailed here. Williams has 1 All-Pro nod in 6 seasons as a pro, as well as 3 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances. He's a great great player who at his best has been an absolute game wrecker. His 2023 season, in which he had a pressure rate of 16.3%, remains the most disruptive pass rush season for a defensive tackle in the next-gen stats database since 2016. But like Gardner, Williams' play has tailed off in recent years. He had a pressure rate of 12.0% in 2024, still quite good, and 8.0% so far this season, quite bad. His time to pressure is also falling, 2.74 seconds in 2022, his all-pro season, 2.79 seconds the following year, then 3.02, and now 3.16. Of course, a new scheme might return Williams to his preferred play style of upfield penetration and subsequent dominance. But isn't the theory in Dallas to improve run defense? The Cowboys already had a penetration defensive tackle in Osa Odighizuwa, whom they just extended this offseason. Odighizuwa had a 14.2% pressure rate in 2023 and 11.1% in 2024 from defensive tackle alignments. Since 2023, Williams has a run-stop rate of 10.9% and a stuff rate of 4.6%. Odighizuwa is at 7.9% and 3.0%, respectively. Of course, Williams is larger and a more reliable run defender than Odighizuwa, and he's a better pass rush player without question. But he's 27 and turning 28, and I'm not convinced he's one of the 5 best players at his position. Williams will play his age 28 and age 29 seasons under contract for a total of $47.25 million. If he continues to play well, he could cash in again in Dallas. But even with the value on the contract considered, the price to acquire his contract feels unforgivably large. The Jets have the right to the better of the Cowboys' 2 first-round picks in 2027, as Dallas has both its own selection and Green Bay's pick from the Micah Parsons trade. This tiny detail has enormous ramifications. Should the Packers make an NFC run in 2026, while the Cowboys suffer a losing season, the Jets can move 15 to 20 picks in the first round just by retaining that optionality. Consider how much teams have traded to move spots in the first round in recent years. When the Saints moved from pick number 16 to pick number 11 to draft Chris Olave, they sent a 3rd and 4th round picks to get it done. The Chiefs also included 3rd and 4th round picks to move from number 29 to number 21 to draft Trent McDuffie. These are small distances in the first round, and they were worth multiple middle round selections of value. Every single slot in the first round matters, and the Cowboys handed control of those slots to the Jets. This is not a good trade in a vacuum, and it looks even worse when you remember the Cowboys traded Parsons away for 2 first-rounders. The only difference in trade return between the Parsons deal and the Williams deal was swapping a first for a second, and now the Cowboys are paying Williams with the money they would have used, in part, to pay Parsons. Here's a hypothetical. The Packers' 2 first-round picks end up both at number 29, 2 losses in the NFC Championship game. The Cowboys' second-rounder next year ends up as the 42nd pick, and their first-rounder in 2027 ends up number 16, average. Different trade value charts will give you different sums, but these 2 packages are roughly equal. The Cowboys might have traded as much draft capital for Williams as they got for Parsons. That's bad business. On the entertainment value scale, this was the best trade of the day. It might bear good returns on the football field. Williams is a highly disruptive and talented player, but on the trade value scales, this deal was heavily weighted to the Jets. The Raiders' passing offense was pretty unhealthy, but I'm not sure Myers' new home in Jacksonville is that much better. Injuries to Travis Hunter, knee, injured reserve, Brian Thomas Jr., ankle, and Dyami Brown, concussion, have created plenty of opportunity for Myers in the short term, but it's hard to imagine he slots in above Thomas or Hunter in the pecking order once they return. And that's not even including Brenton Strange, the highly productive young tight end who is returning from his own injury, knee. Myers turns 29 this week and has 1 year remaining on his deal. A productive back half of 2025, coupled with his excellent 2024, could generate a solid market for a 3-year extension. Myers' last deal was a 3-year, $33 million contract, and $11 million per year is Tutu Atwell money, or Darius Slayton money. Myers has been remarkably more impactful than that, and he is oh so close to cashing in. But will he get those numbers in Jacksonville, where the passing game has yet to truly blossom? There's some hope. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence has a 59.7% completion percentage on the season, in large part because of drops. The 19 drops on Lawrence passes lead all quarterbacks, but Myers has only 4 drops in the past 3 seasons, 283 targets combined. A sure-handed receiver should quickly earn Lawrence's favor. If Thomas is out for a few weeks on top of Hunter's absence, Myers will have the time and volume necessary to earn and retain Lawrence's trust. It's not the best landing spot. New England and Pittsburgh would have been better, but it's workable. Deadline loser, New Orleans Saints. When the Saints traded Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks for 4th and 5th round selections, they got a decent return. Shaheed is a 27-year-old receiver with 1 year left on his deal, and as one of the league's premier speed threats, he has significant value even as a WR2 or WR3. They probably could have gotten more. Jacoby Myers went for a 4th and a 6th just hours before, and he's 2 years older without the cardinal field-stretching trait, but it's a fine return. It is frustrating, however, to frame the Shaheed trade relative to the Devon Vale trade from August. The Saints acquired a 27-year-old receiver this year when they sent a 4th and a future 7th-round pick to the Broncos for Vale. Sure, he has 3 cheap years left on his deal, unlike Shaheed. So the Saints were making a move for cap health. They need to save money, and Shaheed would have been decently expensive on the open market next offseason. But Vele has barely contributed to the Saints' offensive efforts this season. He has 5 catches through 8 games. His opportunity will increase with Shaheed gone, of course. But from the start of last season to today, Shaheed has 64 catches for 848 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's a 17-game pace of 72.5 catches for 961 yards. Shaheed isn't just a Marquise Goodwin or Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's a bona fide WR2. The Saints got worse at wide receiver over the past few months, and their loss in talent outweighs their gain in cap space and draft capital to my eyes. Getting anything back for Trevor Penning, whom they sent to the Chargers for a 2028 conditional 7th-round pick, is a bright spot. But it's tough to develop young quarterbacks without quality wide receiver play, and that's the risk New Orleans is running these days. Deadline winner, 2027 New York Jets. What a day in New York. The Jets have shipped off 2 of their best young players in Gardner and Williams, and in return, they added 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and 2 young players over the past 4 hours. This approach reveals an impressively long-term view on team reconstruction, and it offers the Jets plenty of chances to turn their roster over in a Lions-like rebuild. Think about how well Detroit nailed that 2023 draft with 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, and Brian Branch. Well, the Jets have 2 firsts and 2 seconds next year too. A loaded draft class can fundamentally change a franchise's future, and that's what New York is pursuing. That or a quarterback trade package. It's too early to say anything definitive about the 2026 quarterback class, but if there's a player worth the first pick in it, the Jets are in the driver's seat to go get that player. Beyond the 2026 capital, the Jets have 3 first-round picks in 2027. Their own, the Colts' slot, and the better of Dallas's selections. In isolation, the Jets won both of their individual trades, 2 first-rounders in return for Gardner, who needs to recover his peak form, not a sure thing. In order to be worth that capital is a solid move. I know others think the Colts dramatically overpaid, but I'm closer to the middle. It's a good deal for the Jets, not a great one. But their side is the side I'd rather be on. The Williams trade, as I detailed above, is a clear and enormous win for the Jets. Williams is older than Gardner and plays a more fungible position. You can get quality DTS in the later rounds of the draft far more easily than you can get quality CBS, yet the Jets still produced a second-round pick and a future first. For general manager Darren Mogi, this deal is the masterstroke that might launch a successful rebuild in New York. Rebuilds don't have infinite leashes, of course, and Mogi and coach Aaron Glenn are about to suffer through even more embarrassing losses to end the 2025 season. If they're bad in 2026, miss on a couple of picks, or draft the wrong quarterback, then none of the capital accumulation today will be worth a lick. But for right now, before the chips have fallen, the Jets have built as impressive a stockpile of draft capital as I can remember. That brings us to, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think. See y'all on the next one.